Right, and hello everybody. Welcome to USFC 189. Getting that much closer to the USFC 200 mark, but we still have some time to go. We will definitely get there though, and I'm still in the process of planning something big for that time. Definitely going to get some guest commentators in if we can, and it will be an awesome show. Regardless, we will get started with USFC 189. And so we have Nug against Next to start off. And a fun fact is these two are actually contenders for the champion belt challenge. Synth and Platypi also contenders. And Oak as well is yet another contender. So we have 5 contenders for the champion belt challenge. That is how we will, and essentially we'll decide who challenges me by seeing the results of these fights, and we'll see who's available, and if multiple people are available, we have a wheel of names. So I have everybody's name in here. I'll remove names as needed from the spinner if somebody's not showing up, and we will decide it randomly if needed. But first, the challengers have to maintain their streak. So some of these people will be removed from the wheel just because they lost their fight. And so if you lose your fight and you're one of these people, you will not get the chance to challenge the champion. Let's get these two in here. Almost pinged the wrong person there. Nug will be on the left and Next on the right. And for those who are not able to show up, by the way, I'm not going to remove you, obviously, from contention. You'll just have to challenge me next week. And then we'll do a spin if we need to, if there's multiple people in that same situation, or we can have you fight. You know, there's multiple options. Yep, I'll be in commentators in a moment. Can you still sign up? Yes, you can. I'll get you a fight later, BK. You're just gonna have to wait for your fight in all likelihood. That's the only thing. Yeah, no problem. Let's get into the game and get started. Just playing hunt music for the intro as usual. So Nug needs keyboard. Don't know if Next does. I can check that. Real quick. Gamepad, nice. Alright, so it's just Nug. Yeah, Nug on the left, Next on the right. Both of them potential contenders for the champion title. I'm not sure. I think it was Nug said he has to go after, but hence we're doing an early fight. But that's fine. That doesn't mean your streak gets removed or anything like that. It just means you challenge me later, if eligible. Yeah. So there's no pressure about that if you're not able to show up for the whole event. I can even have you do an early fight next week if you are the eligible challenger. So we don't always have to do the champion fight last. It's just we prefer to do it last because it's sort of the main event. You know, just like the same reason we do final. Yes, BK. Like I said, you can sign up. You're just gonna be later. Gave him a little message too. So far, Nex has a little bit of an advantage, but it's still not super clear who's gonna win. Although that is a much more significant advantage now that he got a 5th flag. Goes for a thrust, misses, and a nice counter thrust there. And there's a sidestep, does get hit. However, Nex doing a great job just fighting for the center, playing a simple game with Isabella. And you can see Nug is very much on the back foot. And there we go. A little bit of a feint there, a cancel, and that left him wide open. Just switching the names real quick. Oh, somebody went back. All good. Just switch sides. Very easy to do accidentally, so there's no worries about that. It doesn't really... Honestly, going back and coming back in isn't that much slower anyway, so... It's basically negligible. Nice thrust. Another thrust. Beautiful by Nug. Looks like Nex is not long guarding in time or beating it down in time, so it's landing perfectly, especially at close range. Switches it up here, goes with a cut instead, but it was countered immediately. Sidestep there. Bit of a clash of swords. The thrust this time is deflected. Nicely done. Positioning matters a lot with that too. Sometimes if you're in just the right position, you can deflect it. Thrust attempt, blade beat hit to the hand, but not quite enough to kill because the blade sort of took some of the sting out of that blow. Still not a hit you want to be taking after taking a hit previously. Your stamina is going to be lower, and so will your HP and damage because you've been hurt, essentially. That's how the game works. It's a bit of a debuff to be hit a bunch of times, but if you get a good hit to the head, you can still kill. This is a game built on relatively realistic fencing after all, so any hit can be fatal. And there's a double. Goes low. Nice there. Went low and then immediately hit the head. Good mix up. That threw Nex off. And that actually, it's now looking really good for Nug. It might just be 1-1 after this. Although that was a great pommel strike after Nug overextended there with the thrust. Opening him right up. Bit of a clash of swords again. Goes low. Gotta be a little bit careful giving up control of the center to Isabella so readily, but it actually does pay off here in the sense that he keeps the pressure on. But there we go. That is the risk of doing so. You get hit all the time if you're not careful, and you just throw those naked. Going for a thrust there. Does get deflected by the cut. And a pommel strike there, nice. Keeping it simple, closing the distance down. And Nug allowed him to get too close. But in fairness, he was on the back foot. Runs into that stab there, thankfully avoiding the point, but it doesn't much matter. It was still a hit. Got grazed by the edge, so the follow-up. And there we go, he went for a little low cut. And instantly got punished. It looks like Nex starting to read him better. A cut. Goes low, but yeah, a little bit too slow that move for that situation. There's a time and a place to land it, but you do have to set it up first a lot of the time. Perhaps off of a parry, or you throw something else and then mix that in. Good stab, but doesn't follow it up. A little unlucky there. Possibly lagging, that might be why. He hasn't paused, so... Okay, he's good to go now. Gave the long guard signal. Nice stab. Actually countering that cut really well this time. Because of the timing. Plus his hand protection was in the way this time. Bit of a trade of hits there. Neither fighter benefiting from it. Except to the extent that Nug is coming back to life and back in the fight, although he is down a flag. There is a nice sidestep. Good mix-up again. Samuel being very responsive with those moves. A cut there. Good exchange of blows. Nobody taking a hit just yet. This round will prove pretty decisive though. Obviously Next wants to take this one. It'll be 2-0 if he does so. But it's also very important for Nug to get this win. Especially if so much on the line down the road. And there we go. Perfect counter of the thrust. I liked what Nug was doing with the point there, but he just wasn't able to get a proper hit in because of Isabella's sword intercepting that thrust. Definitely a great try to apply pressure, and if his opponent wasn't ready for it, we've seen before that thrust does land very nicely. But it's also at the same time quite possible for Isabella to oppose it if she reads it in time. It is a little bit telegraphed, but for that telegraphing, you do get range and you do get some power. Nice, just goes ham there with the cuts. Punch there, nice follow-up. Gets a little bit too close there for Next to deal with. Nice usage of that mechanic. Venator was discussing this in the last tournament as well. Something to keep in mind in this game is if you do get too close to your opponent, there is a certain distance where moves that otherwise would not land can start landing. Especially if you're walking forward mindlessly. So, you might wonder, in some cases in this game, why did this attack land? I should be able to block it. Well, if you were moving the wrong way, or you're too close to your opponent, you might just get hit automatically. Even if your auto guard theoretically responds to that attack most of the time. And it's actually quite realistic if you've ever fenced. Some, like Venator said, some instructors will even tell you, don't let your opponent get that close, like unless you have a plan. And if your plan is like to grapple and you've covered yourself adequately, that's one thing, but if you want to fence and measure like that, that's very dangerous. And this game captures that decently well. You don't want to just stand there and measure, you want to move around and position yourself intelligently to maintain your defense. Because otherwise it's very difficult to parry everything. And by the same token, skilled fencers can surprise you of how much they can parry. But you'll notice they don't just stand there and block, they move around intelligently. Nice retreat cut there. And again, a close one. Although the score tells a different story, these series of fights have actually been disputed, especially these last two, including this one. So it is still quite possible for a Nug to make some sort of comeback. But if Next stays solid like this, it might just be difficult. Throwing that stab a little bit too much naked because it was working earlier. But now it looks like Next is reacting properly to it, so you're gonna have to come up with something else. Nice punch there, making it a little bit messy. Sometimes against this Isabella, that's what you want to do with the sabers. You just want to get up close and start going ham. If you aim for the right targets, it can work, but the dash in was premature there and instantly got punished. It happens. It might have also been an accident. Even pro players dash accidentally all the time. So there's nothing to be ashamed of if that's what happened. Although it is a really unfortunate timing for that type of thing to happen. Okay, Platypi is here. We're waiting on Synth. I'll give Synth a ping as well, just to make sure she's aware. Even on low ping, believe it or not, on their own host, people dash by mistake. Yeah, here's the link. Yeah, no worries. It gets buried a lot. You need keyboard. Okay, Synth on the left, and we got Platypi on the right. Again, these are potential challengers as well. I'll go ahead and remove Nug from the pool on the spinner, since Nug lost. The goal, of course, being to maintain your streak to get the chance to fight the champion. Here we go. Going with Jan this time. This is actually a character Sim can play pretty well, so this is not a weird pick at all. Seeing great things from her, Jan. Also, Platypi, if you wanted Tarna, feel free to pause and we can go back to make sure you can select him, but otherwise you can try Jakob. It's just a lot of people selecting Jakob lately. I've noticed they're trying to select Tarna and then they mess it up because of a bug in the game right now. So if you guys want to play Tarna and that comes up, don't feel discouraged. I'm happy to wait for you to get the input just right. It's one of those bugs that Kubel really needs to fix. Trying to draw and style on the opponent a little bit, but it's not working. Jan is really quick on the draw. Corkscrew attempt, but does parry with the cut this time. Why? Synth actually putting her foot on the gas pedal a little bit, and does pay for it a little bit. Nice by Platypi. I'd say Platypi is one of the best Jakob players, so if anybody could win this with Jakob, Platypi is probably one of the top candidates, to be fair. Even though Jakob has a lot of issues and a lot of people don't consider him that good. He also prefers the saber style, which I think is his better style out of the two. So the small sword in this game is basically just a shorter rapier that's harder to block with, so it's not anything notable, unfortunately. Although we were excited to see a new weapon, and I would certainly like to see it improved, but ooh, nice. Big cut there, followed up by another big cut. Platypi's doing great with Jakob so far, perhaps showing us some of his potential. I have also shown us that he does have some potential myself, but I do still think his moveset's a little bit shallow the more I practice with him. He does play the zoning game really well, though. You can see how he's taking space away from Synth, even though Synth is using Jan. And doing a great job of it, even dashing in a few times, although it does take a hit there. And both take a hit just now. I think Platypi inputted something last minute. Switches to the small sword. We're going to see a little bit of small sword action now. Very brave choice, but I'm not so sure it'll work really well. A pause there. Hopefully everything's okay. Just a little leg spike for Synth. who's from Asia, so we expect these things. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of distance between us, so... Often Asian players are told they should play an Asian host because of how far the distance is. It's not like EU and NA where it is playable on stable connection. Asian players can play, of course, a North American host. It's not impossible, as we're seeing here. Synth has historically done fantastic on my host, and as well as Venator's host, but all the same, it is a pretty clear disadvantage, I would say. Because you might be getting like 300 ping, whereas if you're doing EU to NA or vice versa, you might get 200 or 180, which is at the maximum, which is perfectly playable. Obviously a little bit of delay, but not a big deal if you have the connection. Both go for a cut at the same time. Nobody got hit. Nice. Counter the YY with a thrust and then follows it up. Although he did take a hit, it was a little bit messy. I think the thrust was still a really smart choice against a wild cut like that. It allowed him to reach the opponent first, which proved really important. Lag is similar to last time. Yeah, something to do with Sim's connection or hardware with Parsec. It's a little annoying. Okay, we'll wait for Synth to fix that. Shouldn't take too long. Nice there, a hit. Now Platypi going with Yendrick this time. Tough matchup for Yendrick, but it is a matchup that's perfectly winnable. Yendrick is one of these characters who's a bit of a glass cannon, but if you play him perfectly, you can absolutely just destroy anybody. Because he blasts through the auto guard so easily with the axe. Bit of a trick shot there, styling on the opponent a little bit. Beating the sword, although has to watch that stamina. Platypi is trying to draw Synth in a little bit, playing with the distance. Very good usage of Yendrick here. Yeah, but then the Y chop at that distance probably not going to be blocked, so very well played. Retreat X there, but not fast enough to meet the chop. Runs into that attack. I see what Platypi is going for, though. He's going for that early kill shot with the liver shot, most likely. But Synth is reading that. Trying to hook the blade, that would have been cool. But unfortunately does not manage it here. Gotta watch the stamina again. Some cuts there by Synth. Catching the cuts with the top of the axe, though, really nicely. Chop. Hook, trying to hook the blade anyway, actually does not manage it there, although that was a great attempt. And a grab perfectly executed there by Platypi. Risky, of course, but it paid off. Bunch of cuts there by Synth, whiffing them as Platypi moves back. Some side steps. Platypi harassing Yan's guard here. Liver shot not quite fast enough to oppose the stab, but it still didn't kill. There's a double. And another double. Nice. Yeah, Platypi is a very versatile player. I'm actually not at all surprised to see him performing pretty well with Yendrick as well. He's used Yendrick before. Might even see him switch to Tarnowski regardless of the outcome after this. Perfect retreat chop there, baiting in the attack by Sim. And a little bit too wide on that attack. I think Platypi went with the Y combo, which at that distance is not going to work. Unless you stun the opponent with the half somehow, which can happen, but it is slow. So odds are your opponent will be able to beat you to it. Platypi getting tired, but yeah, unfortunately he did not quite hit the axe head, so definitely some pain there, but not gonna be a kill shot. Still would not want to be hitting the ribs like that, that would really hurt. And certainly a hit like that could lead to the end of the fight down the road if you hadn't been killed in the process of doing so yourself. But very often those hits also won't do much at all. So I like that the game kind of simulates that. You really don't want to hit the half if you can avoid it. The axe head is really the thing you want to hit with, but you can still rock people with the half sometimes depending on how you hit. You can see the difference there. He managed to hit the axe head, so it was a much more fatal hit. Instantly, in fact, winning that exchange. And now it's a distance battle. Platypi hoping not to give this up, I'm sure, but he does. He ends up dashing into that thrust, but I do see what he was going for there. Synth was just able to beat him to the punch. There definitely was a method to that madness, but it did not pay off. Okay, switch sides. Tarnowski now. Here's kind of what I predicted. He plays a really good Tarnowski. Good sportsmanship there. Just checking if his opponent's ready to go. Given the lag problems. But Simp is doing great considering that. Big cuts there by Platypi. And there's a cut to the arm. But Simp is not able to capitalize on that, unfortunately. Corkscrew attempt, but perfect counter by Platypi with that counter cut. You gotta be careful throwing the corkscrew naked, although it does have the potential to bypass the guard. It is a very high commitment move that can be blade beaten. And deflected as well. Your positioning matters a lot when trying to block it. Sometimes, of course, auto guard can block it. That is normal. Auto guard always does try to block stabs, contrary to popular belief. It just often does not succeed. But it can succeed if you position yourself properly. The key with the corkscrew is to try and square up against it. Obviously, long guard is best if you can use long guard. But sometimes even auto guard can do it if you're in just the right spot. If you start moving around though, especially if you move to the side, that's actually the worst thing you can do against the corkscrew because it actually makes it easier for the curve of the blade to find you in this game. But blade beating is also an option, as Platypi has been showing us there. Nice follow up there, a punch. And just going ham with Tarna. grab attempt. Punch there, nicely done. And then just goes in with that cut. That's what we want to do with Tarna, just cause some chaos with really awkward timing that is really hard to cope with. But this time Synth does move in after that little feint by Platypi, and then there's our clear hit. Dashing in there, Platypi looking to end this fight right away. And actually manages to do so, but that was risky. We still have at least one more round though. Okay, who is Platypi gonna pick now? There's actually a lot of characters he could choose from. Calc. Interesting. I love Calc every once in a while playing as the character. I like using him in the Olympics actually in the mixed format. It's really... I just love his cutting moveset, but he also has some good stabs you can sort of throw in to supplement them really well. The amount of space that you can take away from your opponent, the ways you can vary your timing. There we go, Synth hitting the weak of the blade, although it was a little bit jank, that happens sometimes. Platypi was not able to recover because of the first blade beat, so... all Synth had to do was keep following it up and you'll get your flag. And that's a double. Welcome, Extreme. Thinking about getting this game, how big is the learning curve to entering it? I think this game is actually pretty easy to get into. The controls are pretty straightforward. The combos aren't super numerous. They're pretty easy to understand. The difficult part is just mastering the characters and understanding the mechanics. So you will have to put in the work if you want to defeat veteran players, but if you want to just get in and into the game and have some fun, especially against people of similar skill level, it's pretty straightforward to start playing. Yeah, very intuitive controls. If you're curious about trying the game out, we actually play remotely through Parsec and Steam Remote, so if you want to try this game out before buying it, absolutely feel free to do that. Yeah, no problem. Always happy to see new people over in the Hellish Quart community Discord. And there we go, Synth does manage to take that round. Pretty decisively, actually. And we are down to the wire. This is for all the marbles. Somebody is going to lose their chance at a title shot. But who will it be? Tarna, there we go. He goes with what was working previously. Platypi likes to switch characters a lot. Some of the players do that. He's not the only one. But the fact that he picked Tarna tells me he really wants to just finish this as easily as possible. Upcut there. I think Platypi also recently grew a bit dissatisfied with Isabella, so he could have tried Isabella, but I think he has a lot more fun with Tarna. Which I understand. I think Tarnowski has a lot of fun moves and fun stances, and the way he flows is truly a sight to behold. A great character to express your skill with, too, because of the complexities of playing him. Despite the power that he commands, because you can easily overthrow your cuts and get punished if you're not careful. Perfect single tempo there. That upcut is actually really quick, and it catches the arm before Synth is able to land a cut of her own. And intercepts it completely. I like that Platypi, despite using the slower character, is actually the one dictating the fight right now. And Synth is on the back foot. They trade a little bit there. Good interruption though by Synth. It reduced the damage to the incoming attack. Keeps her in the game. but she is being backed in the corner. Nice sidestep there. A cut, in fact, to the arm. So far, Synth is looking better this time than she was the previous time she fought Tarna. A lot of sidesteps there. Gotta be a little bit careful with that. You can be presenting your arm as a target if you're not careful, but that was perfect timing on the sidesteps this time. And then Platypi just hits the arm right away, getting a flag back. Once more, that upcut proving a little bit difficult for Synth to react to in time. Obviously, you can try blocking it normally, but I think oftentimes Platypi is catching her in the middle of an action, so a lot of this is going to be a matter of not overthrowing and being patient for Synth. There we go, a trade again. Platypi exerting a lot of pressure here. Synth tries to use that sidestep snap cut, and there we go, a stab to the body. And we still have ourselves a fight. As they're both trying to use the moves that have been working. Platypi with a big cut, but there's a nice stab by Synth. Another stab attempt, but not able to escape the punch. Nice by Platypi, just turning up the heat a little bit there. Chop. Good usage of long guard to block that one. And Platypi again exerting some pressure, but he dashes there. A little bit of a mistake as he ended up losing track of Synth because of the sidestep. That is the thing you have to watch out for some dash attacks. A good blade beat of that long guard stance, but not able to capitalize. Platypi trying to punish. Big slash by Platypi, and there's a hit straight to the head. Great punishment by Synth. And Platypi really wants to end it now, but he does take a hit for his trouble. He has to be very careful. Another hit like that, and he could lose yet another flag. And we could very well end up down to the wire. Platypi switching stances a lot. I love doing this with Tarna myself to troll people. Synth a little bit wary to close in, as it's pretty obviously bait, I would say. But Synth is still applying a little bit of pressure, not just completely giving up the initiative, which is good. Not overthrowing either. There we go, a stab to the body. Good patience by Synth. And we are down to the last flag, which we love to see. Synth throwing a cut out of measure there, trying to obviously preemptively catch him with that move, which has worked previously. Good parry of that stab. Not able to follow it up. Nice, again, parry riposte, but not able to follow it up because Synth is defending really well. There's a big slash and a perfect follow-up by Platypi. He does one of those retreat cuts, flowing out of that first cut, which looked like it was punishable, but in this case it was not. That is one of the classic tricks of Tarnowski right there. And Platypi takes it, but that was a close one. Nicely played by both. Now we are on to Captain Adler against Info. I will remove Synth from the spinner because she has lost. Captain Adler said he needed an early fight within the first 2 hours, but honestly, this event might not even last 2 hours. So we got him in within the first hour. It hasn't even been an hour yet, so hopefully that's fine. Often, to be fair, USFC, I should say, we aren't the UFC. The USFC lasts a lot longer, because usually the events are a bit bigger. This one is a bit smaller, as you might have noticed by the fight card, but I actually don't mind that. We still have a pretty solid turnout, all things considered. Okay, Info has keyboard. And Captain Adler will be on the left, Info on the right. And BK, by the way, I've not forgotten about you. We will still give you a fight. It's just gonna be later. Probably before the champion fight if we can. Platypi says he doesn't know if he's in contention for the title shot, but someone else can do it. So I'm just gonna pause before we get started. Sorry for the timing of that. I'm just gonna remove Platypi from the pool as well because he said he doesn't want to fight right now. So it's just between potentially Oak. Oak could lose, in which case Next just gets it. But otherwise, Oak might also be the one who fights me, which will be exciting. And if it's the two of them, I won't do the spinner. I'll just do the coin command, I think, that we have on our Discord. I'll have Oak, for example, pick Sword or Shield, and that's how we'll decide it. I'll do it live on the stream so you guys can see it too. I'll get out of the game screen just to keep everything transparent. And Info's been playing Marina lately, which is interesting. Captain Adler going with Marie, perhaps looking for a Marie mirror or a match against the small sword, but that hand for Marina is actually quite a ripe target to hit. So Captain Adler's doing great with these A thrusts, I think they are, or they could be X thrusts. Just aiming them at the hand. Marina also has a long guard mechanic like other characters, although it's not as strong because the shield covers more area. It's like 25% of the magnetism that long guard usually has. But obviously in the disadvantage you get for that is that you move slower. But you cover more area and you defend against attacks from range better. And you get some new moves too. I don't think it's actually crucial in this matchup. I think it's more about positioning yourself so that the shield will actually do its job. And being merciless about closing the distance when you have an opportunity. But Captain Adler's not allowing that to happen. He's actually playing this pretty masterfully with Marie. This is a matchup that usually goes very poorly for Marie, so I have to give Captain Adler lots of credit. That leg cut was nice, but obviously the rapier not being designed for cutting means that he really needs to come up with something that'll end the fight right away. And unfortunately, he does not. And Info goes forward. Big cut there. Nice sidestep, though. And another sidestep. Info running right into that gut stab. That did not end very well. Nice to see Marie being competitive even against Marina. For the longest time, Marie was a meme character and these shield characters just walked all over her. Now it's still, I think, unbalanced in favor of the shields in this matchup, but it is very possible for Marie to win it now. In capable hands. Perfect hit to the arm. Good blade beat, but Info, I think, her problem is that she's focusing a bit too much on blade beating. Blade beating is kind of like checking the king in chess, if that makes sense. So, if you blade beat in this game, you often stun the opponent so that they can't move much, and they're not able to attack you right away. So you're sort of forcing them to respond to that blade beat. But if you don't have a follow-up ready with that blade beat, you're basically just wasting time. Because yes, you're hitting the blade, but you're not actually threatening the opponent in any meaningful way. And in chess, it's much the same. If you're just checking the king, because you can check the king and you don't have a follow-up plan, then you're wasting a move and your opponent can just counter it. So it's very much the same type of thing. So it's not to say that blade beats aren't important in this game. They absolutely are. Just as checking the king is important in chess, but you have to have some sort of plan afterwards. You can't just blade beat for the sake of blade beating. especially if you have the reach disadvantage. If you're just hitting the blade constantly, you're not going to be able to make much happen. And you might also be exposing yourself, particularly if you're a character like Marina who's relying on that shield. You're sort of hanging out of your own range and sort of throwing your hand out there for the rapier to eventually connect and hit your hand. Sticking with Marie there, which is again a brave choice, but nevertheless it's been working pretty well, so who am I to tell Captain Adler this is a bad idea? Yeah, he's playing a very masterful Marie right now, just using the basics, but that's all you need if you play her just right. And Info is relatively inexperienced with Marina. This is a new character for her, so... It's kind of like both of them are out of their territory a little bit. Hang on. Captain Adler might be having a leg spike. Just let it subside. There we go, he's long guarding again. These things happen over Parsec, that's nothing atypical. I'm just glad for the most part it's been stable. There we go, Info this time a lot more assertive about closing the distance, and it pays off. And there's another one. Okay, there's a pause. Just long guard when you're ready. Good sportsmanship. Nice, parrying with the feint there. Nice sidestep thrust there. Not able to find the kill shot though, as it was not properly with the tip. But there we go, as Info runs straight into that stab. Landed a perfect hit. And that's what people mean when they say shields are kind of a weird gimmick. They theoretically are strong, and they are quite a knowledge check. But if you know what you're doing against the shield character, you can kind of bully them pretty easily. Even in a matchup that theoretically favors the shield, there are ways that you can harass the shield user and keep distance, and effectively never end up in danger. Unless the shield user finds a way to close in. You can do this kind of thing with Saber as well, actually, because Saber characters who you just use the Saber in one hand typically have a reach advantage. But that said, Info is starting to get an advantage here, figuring the opponent out. Much more assertive about getting in there and just pushing, which I like to see. That's what you want to do. There's a certain amount of disrespect you need to have for the rapier, but you have to obviously balance it with the fact that obviously if you're too reckless, the rapier can still find your hand. You don't want to just throw attacks for the sake of throwing attacks. And obviously the leg cuts are a threat. They will not often kill, but they do land some chip damage, which in the future can prove devastating. Especially because now you can't move very well. And Info is trying desperately to get in, but cannot. There's another hit by Captain Adler. And sidestep, but towards the shield side, so it did not end up getting through. And this is looking like a disputed fight now. But there we go, Captain Adler still determined to make some type of a comeback here. We will see if that is possible. One mistake could be all it takes, though, for Info to make it 1-1. There we go, another thrust. Beautifully done by Captain Adler. Lunge again, this time deflected by the shield, but a cut to the hand, which does a little bit of chip damage, as you'd expect from the rapier, and a stab to the body, as Info was getting a little overzealous, perhaps. Captain Adler figuring some things out again. I think he's a little bit more assertive with his reach. You can see Info, on the other hand, is starting to slow down. And those lunges with Marie are actually pretty devastating. They can sometimes even skip off the shield, I think, and hit the body, which you'd expect. So. Ooh, backed away instead of pursuing to get the kill. That was a little bit of a mistake by Info on the follow-up, but there's a blade beat and then an immediate follow-up. That's how you want to blade beat the opponent. You don't want to just blade beat and back off or blade beat from a distance. You want to blade beat and then immediately your next hit needs to be a kill shot. And that's true of any character fighting Marie. 1-1, let's switch sides. Ooh, nice. Using Connor this time, Captain Adler, and he does hit the hand. Connor, I think, is actually a pretty good anti-shield character. It's just funny to say because he himself is obviously a shield character, but I really do think his method of beating shields is actually pretty straightforward, and it's kind of frustrating for another shield to fight against, but... Nevertheless, because Captain Adler has played some Connor, it makes a lot of sense that he went with this character, and he's going with some really intelligent moves here to immediately bypass the shield. Going low. Nice, going low. Info also going low, hitting the leg. Meanwhile, Captain Adler is more into the body. And there's another hit, but a punch. Does Captain Adler follow it up? Yes, he does. Perfect. And Captain Adler looking to get another decisive win here. Connor. Ooh, and tries to go in for a push, I assume, but Info is ready. Pushing can be a very effective tactic in these shield fights, but usually the other shield user is very well aware of that, so sometimes you can end up eating a hit to the head for your trouble. Nevertheless, Captain Adler doing great with Connor. And Info throwing a lot of cuts out of measure, which is a little bit of a curious choice. I'm not sure what that's supposed to achieve. Maybe she's looking for a bait. But she doesn't seem to have a follow-up ready, if that's the case. Tries to go low, but is a little bit too slow, and obviously the risk to going low is that your head is exposed. So nice by Captain Adler. Captain Adler needs one more. Fighters switch sides. Okay, nobody's selecting. I'm not sure what's happening. Somebody went back now. I don't know. back to Connor, no surprise. This time Info gets really close and then goes low. Nicely done. Nice low cut, then there's a hit to the arm. Captain Adler not quite able to follow it up, but he's still applying a lot of pressure there. Getting the stamina down so he can break the guard down over time. Info looking tired. Now Captain Adler goes in, but he takes a tired swing. But the tired swings typically don't do that much damage for obvious reasons, so Captain Adler is able to tank it anyway and get the kill. But sometimes tired swings do actually get kills. We have seen it happen, especially to the head, so it is not impossible at all. I don't blame Captain Adler for rushing it there. It ended up being worth it there. Because when your opponent's tired like that, you really want to capitalize on it and get that free flag. We have seen that mentality result in some really funny moments, though, that did not end well for the attacker. Always something to be aware of. Nice, blocking high there, then going straight to the leg. Classic tactic in this sort of matchup. Ooh. Captain Adler was going for that same low cut again, but he took a hit to the arm for his trouble. Info being a bit faster. There's a nice stab by Captain Adler, but he does take a cut as well. Retreat X cut there. Very nice move. Then goes low again, Info backing off. Yeah, Captain Adler whiffing a bit too much there and immediately got punished with the leg cut. That was perfect by Info. Even with the shield, you still cannot afford to whiff so much and pay for it very easily. Nice leg void by Info, but the shield was still in the way. Info has to watch that stamina. There's a hit to the leg, though, and then a perfect follow-up to the head. Info looking to make this 2-2. Going with that cut. But it makes you very tired. There's basically no point in throwing it except for the memes. It does actually crash through the guard, though, fun fact. But I don't think that makes it worth it. And Info, I don't know what Info is doing there. But it's that Marina shuffle. Nice leg cut there. One more needed for Info, and it actually could become a close fight. This time you hit she hit the hand protection there, so not gonna break through. There's just too much steel in the way there, so the hand guard did its job. Tries to get some kind of blade beat, but Info is not successful in doing so. Both looking for that leg cut, which could be devastating. Nice follow-up with the leg cut by Info, but not able to capitalize. The stab attempt is also deflected. Goes low again. Captain Adler taking a nasty hit. But Info's getting tired. There we go. Does get the leg cut again. And it is 2-2. Alright, Captain Adler, take the left side. Info on the right. We're going to finish this fight. Let's see who they pick. Does he want Tarna? Yeah, pick Tarna quickly and you can still do it. It's a funny bug. It can make it look like they're trying to pick Yaka, but in fact, no surprise, Captain Adler is looking to pick Tarna here. Tarna's going to be a good pick in this matchup, actually, and again, that flourish is completely useless. No surprise. Captain Adler immediately interrupting it. But a nice upcut there. Good punishment by Info as Captain Adler tried something. Nice leg void. Not quite able to follow it up. To be fair, Marina often blocks high when she goes low, so even the follow-up cut may not have landed. So it's understandable that Captain Adler just chose to back off. And a nice hit there, hitting an opening, but not able to capitalize. Although Captain Adler is now tired, will Info rush it? She does, and in fact it was the right call this time. Also, Tarnowski's tired swing, unsurprisingly, is pretty slow, so there probably isn't that much of a threat of taking a hit. Unless you really fumble it, which we have seen before. It's definitely possible, but not likely. Nice, beating the guard a bit, goes low. And it's a double, actually. Info goes in for a cut. At just the moment. Upcut into the shield, perhaps not the best side to be attacking there, and we see why. Info is able to immediately break that up, but nice Captain Adler immediately going with a different combo. Tarna flows into these cuts really well, and they attack the openings of pretty much every character on the roster super well. That is one of his strengths, to get around the guard with these powerful cuts. So even the shield is actually not super useful here a lot of the time. Unless you use it very actively. But even then, Tarna might still be able to catch you if you're caught in the wrong distance at the wrong time. There's a hit by Info earlier, and follows it up again as Captain Adler tries to go with a cut of his own, but it was way too slow. That is something to be wary of course, with Tarnowski, is launching slow attacks when you're in measure of the opponent. If you do that, you might be beaten to the punch, but if you lead with the blade first, then you can still engage the opponent and freely throw whatever cuts you want. But easier said than done against a moving opponent who does not want to allow you to get that ideal spacing. Very easy to make a mistake, even for good Tarna players, as after all, we are all human. Oh, that flourish again, and his guard actually did get beat. He took a slight hit, but that move is pretty trash, so it didn't matter. Just trade with it a little bit, and Tarna's fine. If he let the entire move connect, though, it might have been bad. Combination of cuts there. Info whiffing a lot. Gotta be really careful doing that. Captain Adler looking for a push, but he does get the double. Nice leg void. But no follow-up is able to connect in time. And Info with a nice counter. Some cuts there by Info. And a sidestep by Captain Adler. Beautifully done. Hitting the hand. Left foot forward stance for Captain Adler. As we're coming down to the wire. Info overthrowing a little bit there. Way out of measure of some of these cuts. But Captain Adler not quite able to hit the hand as Info moves back while doing so. Ooh, goes for the leg, but Captain Adler, left foot forward stance there, can be pretty quick on the defense, but Info still did the right thing, sensing that she had the initiative and kept going, and it allowed her to eventually get that flag, especially because Captain Adler was tired. And there we go, a quick hit to the arm, and Info needs one more to get this win, believe it or not. Big splashes, and yeah, that move also has no tracking. That's something Info just learned. Literally no tracking on that move. All you have to do is sidestep it if you don't know what to do. You can wait it out, or you can sidestep it and make her look especially goofy. Very nice by Captain Adler, who's probably aware of that. But he also could have just tried it because it's generally something that will work against moves like that, is just moving to the side. Big splashes by Captain Adler, obviously looking to get that quick hit in. Going for the hand, nice movement by both. Some whiffing there by Info, gotta be very careful. Captain Adler switching stances, goes low, nice leg void though by Captain Adler. Very intense fight, but eventually the hand was popped right off. Nice by Captain Adler. Excellent movement, allows him to eventually get the win. Now we have Oak against Apostle, another important fight. If Oak loses here, we know exactly who will be challenging me, and that is next, but Oak is not going to make that so simple. He is fighting Apostle, and Apostle is himself a Saber Master who can play pretty much anybody in the Saber roster. BK, by the way, if you're listening, we can get you in early if somebody doesn't show up for some reason. Although I did place you later on the fight card, I can absolutely have you fight sooner if somebody's not able to show up. Oak had a problem with their connection. Try again, Oak. Parsec is saying you're having a problem with your connection. I hope it's not the same issue as last time. Okay. Yeah, sometimes you just have to try again, and it works for one reason or another, so that's good. Oak will be on the left, and Apostle will be on the right. Beautiful. Oak, no surprise, going with Yazuk. Apostle, trying to figure out which Saber he wants. Well, actually, no, he goes with he goes with Yendrick, which is super surprising. But if he knows what he's doing with Yendrick, who am I to tell him? So that's really strange. For Oak, it seems like he figured out how to fix it. The issue that he was having this week, and that's if he closes Skyrim. Skyrim somehow interferes with Parsec connection. I don't know how that works, but regardless, here we are, and Oak is able to connect just fine and fight, so. Nice hit to the knee, that would hurt big time, and follows it up. Oak is typing while fighting, at least that's what I'm seeing. There we go, now he's going on the attack a little bit. A little bit of a flex on his opponent. I'm not sure he can get away with that against Postal though, but we'll see. Bit of a stun there, keeps trying to follow it up. Oak is tired from that barrage of hits. That is the nice thing about the blunt half hits, is they actually do take down your stamina at least, as well as stunning the opponent. So they can be useful. No, there were some issues with your input. Not sure. Oh. That's weird. Hopefully Oak is doing okay with the inputs, but... rejoin. Alright. Sticky inputs. Oh, okay, I see. Okay, hopefully that resolves itself. Okay, back off, and just make sure Oak is ready to go. Good sportsmanship again by Apostle. Really appreciate that. By all the combatants so far, haven't had anybody causing trouble with that or anything like that. Making sure everybody's ready to fight before they go ham. Bit of a whiff there, and gets punished right away by Oak. After this round, I'm going to step away for a little bit, but you guys can obviously continue fighting as needed. I just want to make sure Oak is still good to go before I do that. Which he might not be. I'm not sure what's happening now. It's really strange. Maybe he needs Steam. I can provide Steam if he needs that. Apostle is still good to go, so that's at least encouraging that it's not like my parsec or anything like that, or my connection, but still not what we like to see. Oh, it crashed. Okay, that's strange. That's why it paused then. Sometimes I see 2 oaks. That's strange, but I'll accept your connection. It's showing that you were still connected, but I assume that was not updating. It was probably just delayed. I do believe you that you were just kicked out for some reason, or crashed. But yeah, so Oak has been having a lot of issues with Parsec, which is really frustrating. But he is actually still winning this fight. So credit where credit's due. Showing us the mindset of a veteran here, just working through it the best he can. And there we go, he actually does take it. And it looks like we got it working again. I will still step away if he doesn't want Steam. If he wants Steam, I can give him Steam too, though. The sticky input seemed to persist. Okay. Let's try Steam. Yeah, I'll get you Steam before I walk away. And since it's keyboard, it should be fine. It shouldn't interfere with anything. But even if that were a possibility, I'd still allow it. Postal, you can stay on Parsec. It's not a problem. Yeah, it's not your fault, Oak. You were having issues during Beneder's tournament, I recall, too. Somehow you fixed them, but definitely something is amiss with that. You also have delay in input. Weird. Yeah, it could be a Parsec issue. As far as I can tell, my connection is really good, but, you know, if Parsec is having a hiccup somewhere, then you can absolutely get delay. So we can try Steam. I can't promise it'll be better, though. Steam is often worse, but... Oak, take the first link. Apostle, take the link that I just replied to you with. Oak is here, and he has keyboard, just waiting for Apostle. I think Oak took the wrong link. Click the top one, Apostle. Yeah. Yeah. Do what Oak's telling you to do. It happens. Yeah, that's the one thing with Steam. You have to select the correct link, otherwise it won't let you in. So we'll give Apostle a moment there to connect, and I'll check in with them, make sure that all is good before I leave. I'm just getting a drink, so it's nothing important on my end, so don't feel like you guys are holding me up or anything like that. Nice, Apostle has his controller. You guys can go ahead. a Yazuk there, a possibly switching to a Saber. And I'll just make sure these guys can fight properly too before I step away. And if all is well, you know, you guys can just carry on fighting. Sidesteps by Oak, hopefully it's better now. It looks like he cued that sidestep really precisely, the way he usually does, so... I'll let him go one more round, and if something's weird, they can pause and whatever, and otherwise I'll go. Punch, there's a hit to the shoulder though, and Oak follows it up right away, nice. Yeah, it's looking pretty normal now, and they haven't paused the game, so I'll let them fight. And I'll just be right back. I'm just getting a coffee really quick.
Moi. Moje. I po wszystkim.
Alright, I am back. And it looks like Oak won the fight, so we will move on to Dauntless against Fixer. If somebody who lost the fight wants to fight BK, let me know. What's up? Alright, well, you'll fight after this, of course. Alright, I'm gonna link you guys to Steam, if that's okay with you, just because people are having a better time with Steam, which tells me it's not my connection, it's something to do with Parsec today, so just take the link that is linked next to your name. We'll get Fixer and Dauntless in here, and then we'll do BK against Radzig. Okay, who do we... Dauntless is here, perfect. We're just waiting for Fixer now. If Fixer doesn't show up right away, we can always skip and do the next fight. So it's not that big of an issue, although I'd rather obviously do things in order if we can. And obviously Dauntless will get a fight regardless of what happens. Somebody's pinging me. Oh, yeah, it's fine, BK, just telling me that he's rusty. But that's fine. There's a lot of people who probably feel that way. Fixer is too, I'm sure. But Fixer is not showing up. We could just have BK fight Dauntless, I think. Yeah, I think we'll do that. I'm gonna ping him here. He just messaged me, so he is around. There we go. I sent him a ping there. Just don't want to waste any more time. Although we're not pressed for time, to be clear. We're rolling through this pretty fast. It's pretty small USFC, but you know, the more efficient we are about this, the better. If Fixer comes back, obviously Fixer will fight Radzig. So I'm gonna update the fight card to reflect that. It's just BK sitting here messaging me as he's waiting for his fight, and Fixer didn't show up, so I don't see the point in waiting. Just make sure you use that link, BK. If you need another link, let me know, but that link should still be valid. Just waiting. You did. Oh, is it loading? Like, what's going on? Is it loading or crashing or? Okay, I'll just give you a different link then. I'm not sure what's going on, but you can try this one. It could have just died, so who knows? Failing that, we can also try Parsec. Just be aware that Parsec seems to be having issues on their end lately, so. You don't know. Is it just not working? We can use Parsec. Yeah, he still hasn't connected. Your Parsec is okay. Alright, I guess Steam is crashing for him. Sometimes that happens. You can try Parsec if you prefer. Just again, be aware that we're using Steam because Parsec is currently having issues. Dauntless left for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe Dauntless crashed as well? I don't know. I don't know, people just mysteriously crashing. Dauntless, you can just use Steam. You don't have to use Parsec if you don't want to. Alright, I guess Dauntless wants to use Parsec. I don't know. Reconnect. There it is. Okay, as for the sides, we will have Dauntless on the left and BK on the right. And Dauntless will need keyboard, if I recall. Almost kicked Dauntless there. There you go. Should be able to click the screen and pick the left side. And BK take the right. BK is having problems possibly. There we go. Just reassign if you need to. That was really quick Barabash pick, which I don't think BK plays Barabash, so feel free to to reassign if you don't want Barabash. Press 3 on the numpad to reassign one of you, doesn't matter who, if the Barabash pick was accidental. Otherwise, we can roll with it. I'm not getting a response from BK. I guess it's okay. Unless he yells at me, but... Yeah, it seemed accidental. That's why I'm surprised. He's not responding. There we go. If you want Tarna, just press really quickly. There's a bug where it locks on the Yaka, but you can press it really fast and get it. Alright, Zera in the end though for Dauntless. Different from the usual Yendrick pick, but perhaps he's been practicing with Zera. Big slash to the arm. Another big cut to the arm. Beats the blade, though. Doesn't quite hit. And hits the head with the follow-up. Nicely done. So far showing promise with Zera, which I like to see. We like to see people trying out new characters and having success. Although, this time BK is able to get a flag. Big slash. Again, trying to initiate, but that stab is lethal. Nice by BK to the hand. That is a really good place to aim for against Zera is the hand. Jan's hand is actually pretty vulnerable too. It only has the knuckle bow after all. So they both can land hand snipes on each other pretty well. There's a nice leg cut in the retreat, using the range really well. But there we go. Jan can also play the range game. And there's a stab to the hand. There's a stab to the hand again. Beautiful by BK. Trying to beat the blade. Not quite able to do so. His workout. Big splash resulting in a double. Yeah, BK keeping it very simple. Just punishing the whips there. But that is one way to counter Zera. So very well done to him. Harassing from distance, waiting for a mistake to capitalize on. And there's another double. The back Y being very dangerous to attack into. Good exchange. Big splash there, BK. A little too far to capitalize on that, but a nice try. And Dauntless has figured that out, that whiffing's really dangerous, but even if you cancel it, you do still spend some stamina for trouble. So you do have to be a little bit careful, but nice switch up there with that retreat cut. Back Y. Another workout. Big splash there, a bit of a counter cut stops it though. And a nice hit to the arm. Currently 4-4. We load that stab. Again trying to stab to punish, but not quite close enough. Again, a little too far there. This time lands the stab perfectly. Really trying to make that stab work, but it aims at the hand, so it's actually a really nice move to pick here. And a bit of a trade there does not favor Jan. Holy stance there. Actually a really close one, this fight. Big splash there by Dauntless, but a little bit too close for that. And gets punished, but not quite a kill yet. Low guard now. Dashes into the stab though. Going low again with the stab. And then a cut. Trying to just continuously harass the guards from distance, but those work hours are perfect single tempo counter to that. Ooh, Dauntless overextending a little bit there, going with his work out of measure, and BK waited it out. Nice punishment there, but a close fight all the same. Both did well. Okay, switch sides. I'll be right back once more. And back just in time to see the end of this round. Dauntless has decided to use Marta this time to try and counter BK's stabs, but it hasn't quite worked out, although it is certainly a fight. It does appear that Dauntless remains on the back foot, BK being a pretty damn good yawn. And there we go, the corkscrew, using the curved blade to his advantage there. It's very difficult to block sometimes. And there it is. BK needs one more now. And after this fight, we'll see if Fixer is still around. Otherwise, hopefully Ratzig will get a fight, but we will do the champion fight. Fixer is here now. All good. Yeah, we'll get you the fight. Ratzig maybe, but we'll see. Nice. I see your message. Don't worry about that. I was just away from my computer for a little bit, so I wasn't paying close attention to that, but now I see it, so all is well. Nice punishment there, the thrust. Well, Samuel this time, an interesting pick. Trying out different characters. Nice hit. Good exchange between these two. Although it looks like Dauntless is behind him in stamina, and there we go. Having sustained some damage earlier. Okay, keeping it simple, capitalizing on those little details, but Dauntless is doing a great job as well of that sidestep hitting the head. And tries to stab under the arm there, but Dauntless does a good job sidestepping it and hitting before BK can land that. And threatening that stab, but looks like Dauntless has figured out how to counter it, so BK might need to switch it up. Jan has a lot of moves, obviously, to use to sort of pull from, but it's a matter of picking the right ones. Having so many moves isn't an advantage necessarily if you don't use them or you don't use them properly. So we'll see. BK obviously is rusty, so I don't blame him for keeping it simple, but he might need to change something here. And there's a double. Somebody paused it for some reason. Just press the escape button, guys. Side step there. A cut is actually a nice angle there by BK. Not seen very often, but it works well here. Especially against certain attacks, it's a nice way to counter. A bit of an exchange there. And nice retreat attack by Dauntless, keeping it simple. Perfect punishment. Nice feint there, trying to bait out an attack. Doesn't quite get the counter he was looking for, but still like to see stuff like that. Back Y, he's trying to stay in the fight there. Gotta be careful not to overthrow when you're down on stamina, though, after getting hit like that. Nice low thrust. And there we go. The stamina was down, so it's even harder to block that stab. And so BK takes that flag. Nicely done. Just whittling it down the opponent over time. Sometimes that's a valid tactic in this game as well. You don't always have to end the fight early. But sometimes your opponent will not allow it. And there's a double. BK going straight for the Y cut. As Dauntless sidestepped, but in doing so gave him the angle to also land his hit. Cuts out a measure by both. Hit to the arm. thrust. Ooh, and the A cut there also landed, but didn't quite have the power, because Dauntless also landed a hit. There we go, Dauntless got a nice hit, but wasn't quite able to follow it up just yet. Nice try with that sidestep, nearly hitting the hand. It definitely looks like BK is the one on the back foot now. Good usage of Samuel, but that is a nice hit in turn by BK. Move back Y preemptively there. Sidestep also by both trying to find an opening as they try to recover stamina, but BK is a little bit too slow with that sidestep, and it's instantly countered with a sidestep from Dauntless. Okay, let's switch sides. BK sticking with Jan, and now there's Connor. It looks like Dauntless is switching characters each fight. Good hit. Going for the thrust there, which might be risky against the shield, but this time forcing it in by getting close enough to do so. And they both get tired, but Jan's tired swing is faster, it looks like, so no surprise. Connor's tired swing is pretty terrible, so I'm not surprised that this is how it turned out. Ironically, Jan actually has the reach advantage here because Connor does not stand straight on the way Jan does, or linearly I should say, instead he squares up. So because he squares up, his functional reach is reduced, so Jan actually probably does a better job at the long range sniping game. But obviously Connor having a straight sword does help a little bit with reach, but he does give up some of that reach that he would enjoy if he had just a single sword in favor of having better defense. Nice. Instant single tempo there. Good sidestep, hitting the arm. Corkscrew is parried. Nice blade beat, but he didn't follow it up in time. He had a chance there to hit Connor in the head, but did not quite take it in time. Good exchange again. Nice. Both going for side steps there. Okay, not able to hit in time. His cut was interrupted. Going for long guard. Not quite. Finding an opportunity just yet, but keeps up the pressure. As BK is overthrowing a little bit there, running out of stamina. And a nice push. There we go. That hit was decisive, bringing the stamina down and finishing him up there. 2 more needed, and Dauntless will be able to potentially win this, as he will have 2 wins to BK's 2 wins. Good blade beat, but BK again doesn't seem to have it in his muscle memory to follow that up right away. But that was a nice corkscrew. Attacks there, but the stab to the arm. 1 more is now needed for Dauntless to tie it up. Will Dauntless manage it? Blade beam. And there we go. Nice sidestep combination. Pretty decisive win this time with Connor. And this is down to the wire. We were fighting again. BK, make sure you take the right side. There you go. What's going on? Possible Denise mirror, it looks like. Alright, let's see it. This is actually a really fun mirror. I know people obviously have a lot to say about how overpowered Denise is, but nevertheless, if the two characters mirror each other, it's a really fun fight. And to be clear, he is not a win button, and nobody should feel discouraged from picking him if they want to. He's in the game, he's not banned, and you use every tool that you have available. If you think Denise is your key to winning, then absolutely pick him. Pick the character you have fun with. It's on Kubel to fix the issues with him. I don't fault the players for choosing a style that they enjoy. Now, me personally, I used to main Denise, so I totally understand enjoying his style too. It is a lot of fun. I just think he has way too many advantages, and he makes the game a little bit too easy most of the time. And obviously, I've lost with Denise before. Again, he's not a win button. A good player can still give you a really good fight, but for the most part, he makes the game a little bit too trivial for my liking. But I've also put a ton of hours into practicing, so what might be the case for me, where it makes the game like a little bit too easy sometimes, might not be the case for the average player. He does have a learning curve with that footwork. The exchange there does not favor Dauntless. BK being a bit in his elements, using a saber, so that might help him here. Generally, if you're a saber player, you can translate your skills to other sabers pretty well. Although their styles are very unique, you can still apply fundamentals just fine. So, although BK really likes that stab, it's really easy to punish though. I would not throw it naked like that. It's a good setup move, but you gotta make sure you're not taking a blow in turn. Somebody's pausing it there. Thrust attempt, there we go. This time applying pressure when the opponent's not prepared. Yeah, there's no need to pause it right there, guys. I know you're not doing it on purpose, but just press escape again and you're good to go. In the end, it looks like BK took it after a Denise mirror. Also called Alexander, used to be his name, but it was changed for those who might be confused. I sometimes interchange between the two. Okay, I believe that's Fixer. Yep, I remember that name from Parsec, so it's good. Obviously, Radzig's on as well. I will just add a section to the fight card to reflect this. And we'll put Fixer on the left to start. And Radzig will be on the right. Fixer is on controller. Okay, and then I know that Radzig needs keyboard. Let's get started. Again, Fixer on the left, Radzig on the right. Click the screen again if it's not inputting for some reason. That should fix it. I'm not sure what's going on. Alright, maybe I need to restart the game because of Steam. It's fine, you guys are in Parsec, so it's not actually a big deal. Just gotta restart it and you can stay connected. I'll also reset the gamepads while we're here just to cover all of our bases. I could have tried that first, but I think it's just better to restart everything instead of having to try multiple troubleshooting steps after the other. Might as well just do them all together. If it'll let me exit Hellish Court, that'd be brilliant. Kubold, let me exit your game, please. It's like it's not properly exiting on Steam. I'm gonna do it manually through the task manager, I guess. Maybe I'll restart Steam completely. That'll fix it. Yeah, I just completely closed Steam, so that'll fix it. We just gotta wait for Steam to load now. Maybe it's a Steam issue. I don't know what's going on with Steam. It's not even responding now. There we go. Okay, Steam's doing an update right now. It won't take long. It happens instantly, so. Yeah, usually when this happens, I find what's going on, so just gotta be patient. Now we wait for the network and for it to log in. There we go. Okay, we're back. Fixer on the left. There we are. Yeah, I just had to restart the game. Sometimes you have to after messing with Steam a little bit. So it's actually not super surprising. 1 second. There you go. Yeah, Steam is, as BK is saying, Steam pretty annoying sometimes. It's a necessary evil, though. They have basically a monopoly on as far as the game stores and the PC market, so it means they can afford to be lazy and to make their service pretty dog shit, so. But, you know, it works well enough for its purpose, and that's all they need, right, to maintain that monopoly, so. And, you know, there are advantages to Steam as well. It's not like it's all bad. Nice hit to the head. Oh, did I not switch the names? You guys can do this flag, it's fine. I'll just switch them later, when you guys kill each other. So it's Fixer on the left, to be clear, and then it's Radzig on the right. I'll fix that really soon. I just don't want to break up the rhythm. There we go. One moment. Alright, you can continue. Good exchange there. Bit of a pause there. Okay, a double. Nice hit by a Fixer. Nice chop. And nice, just follows it up there. Not quite able to get the kill there. Fixer not very quick on the follow-up, but a nice try. Trying to blade beat. Again, looking for the blade beat. Doesn't get it, but gets some nice blade contact, and then follows it up. It is still a combo, so it actually works pretty nicely, even just as a move to throw. We have high guard now. You can see how formidable Tarna really is, even in the hands of somebody who's sort of trying him out for the first time. Really powerful cuts. There it is. Nice spacing in that cut. And one more is needed. Nice stab though. Fixer not letting Radzig get away with that whiff. Big cuts there. Gets punished by a nice stab though. Good usage of the auto guard to block and then throwing a stab that is tough to block on recovery. Big slash, but a bit out of measure. And again, the big slash, but it's instantly punished by a stab. But Radzig says they can stab as well. Alright, just long guard when you're ready to go. Okay, a bit of a lag spike possibly, but we're good now. Perfect sidestep there. Radzig takes the first one. And it looks like I just checked. Fixer is having issues with inputs. That sounds like what other people were getting. So we can try Steam if you want. I don't mind. I'm just gonna kick both of you out. We can try Steam. Because that was working for other people, strangely enough. I don't know why. Parsec is having some problems. We only switched back because some people were really insistent on using Parsec for some reason again, so. But we can switch back to Steam. I really don't care. Yeah, unfortunately, better multiplayer is probably not happening. Kupol explained why. It's just a lot of hoops to jump through, even if it is possible. For one guy, it's probably not happening. I wish. I certainly wish, but like Venator is saying, though, it kind of there's some advantages actually to having Parsec, like being able to stream everything. But okay, Radzig's here, and you have keyboard by default on Steam, so that's one nice thing about Steam, at least. It automatically gives you keyboard, unless I just disable it globally. And there we go. That looks like Fixer, I assume. Difficult for a small dev. Yeah, that's the one thing, right? But even Half Sword, they have a team, like a proper. It's obviously a smaller indie team, but it's still a team, and they've made an excellent game. But they're saying that there's also for their game issues with getting multiplayer to work, so they probably won't be adding a multiplayer for their game either for many of the same reasons. So, I mean, there's a lot of sort of internet experts who come on and they say multiplayer is very much possible and blah blah blah, but it turns out when you actually look at the challenges on the ground, the developers run into a lot of problems. So, I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but I think there has to be some innovation for it to work. And, you know, again, the size of the team can be quite a hindrance to that as well. So, you know, if even a team can't pull off something similar, if a physics-based game like this, then I think it says something. Some games with more simplistic physics have an easier time, but and I think it's easier to pull off in VR too. But for a game like this with ragdolls, it seems quite a bit more difficult. Nice hit there. Fixer keeping it simple with those punishes, but there's a hit to the
No,
arm.
tak myślałem!
Nice hit to the arm there. Big splashes there, not quite connecting though. And dashes right into that stab. Hopefully it's better for you guys. I don't know why Steam's better. That's usually not at all how it works, but much better. Alright, we'll stick with this then. Yeah, just Parsec's having a big brain fart right now. Or something. Sell it to the team who can do it, collaborate with fans. Absolutely, collaborating with fans would be great. I don't know if he will sell it to a team though. He doesn't seem super interested in that. But it is an idea that has been proposed. It's just a matter of if Kubel himself will do that or not. For those who are confused, by the way, there's people chatting in Discord as well. That's who I'm speaking with. Keeping an eye on both chats. So if I miss your message, that's not on purpose. I'm just moving back and forth between them. Yeah, Calc is a lot better. Fixer was talking about how it was difficult for them to string multiple attacks together, but much like Tarnovsky, he actually does a lot better when you can combo your attacks. So no surprise we're seeing a better performance now. Just a lot more responsiveness really helps. Inquartada, and one more is needed for Fixer. That was really nicely done. A little bit of a thrust there, another thrust, but that hit to the hand was devastating. Nice try by Fixer, trying to keep range, but not quite able to get it done. He can't do it himself. Yeah, well, it's possible even a team won't be able to do it, so. Given that other teams and other games are struggling with the same thing, so. But you are right, like, it's whatever issues there may or may not be with multiplayer, one person's not doing it. It's just not happening, so. And he's not interested in selling the game to a team, to my knowledge, so it's not gonna happen. I'm not saying it like that's the right course of action, I'm just saying that's how he feels about it. He doesn't even want to employ anybody. That's kind of the state we're in. So the idea of selling it to like a publisher or something is crazy to him. Given that he won't even hire anybody that he doesn't strictly have to, like the voice actors, and he, commissioning the composer to produce some tracks and stuff like that. Beyond that, he doesn't want to employ anybody. So. And even then, those people aren't really employed, strictly speaking. They're just sort of doing their part and they're done type of thing. He's not paying them to constantly work on the game, right? Which he wants to avoid. Why not go 50-50 with me and Venom? Oh, Venator's not available right now to host. If that's what you mean. let you guys work on it. We're not developers. As much as we'd love to fix the game, I'm sure, neither of us are experts on that. We'd probably do a worse job than Kubold. No, Venator's fine. He hosted Friday. It's just that he's not a developer. Anyway. Radzik has gone with Marta this time. And Marta's a pretty good counter to Calc, as we're seeing here. Nice. Bit of an exchange of attacks here. Good combination of stabs there. Not quite able to get the kill, but the sidesteps work really well. Nice, yeah. That's what you want to do with Marta, even if the first thrust doesn't kill, which it often actually will. The sidestep is super powerful, but if it doesn't, because you're too close, you can just keep going. The cut gives up control to center, though. You don't really want to cut with the rapier. And Fixer immediately capitalizes on that. There are situations where cutting with Marta can work, and I'm assuming Radzik is not super familiar with the moveset, hence why they are throwing cuts, but you really don't want to do that, especially against a broadsword. It's just not going to go well. You're going to get hit first, and it's going to hit for a lot more damage than your rapier is going to hit for on the cut. So the point game is definitely where it's at with Marta. But it's a matter of knowing the moves. It's actually very easy to accidentally do something you don't want to do with Marta if you don't know the moves. The way her moves work is very different from how Marie's work. Going for a chop there. Nice kick there. The cut is obviously too slow, given that it's a rapier. And Fixer makes it messy, but that's all you have to do. And one more is needed, actually. Fixer making a nice comeback. And then Fixer will need one more after this if Fixer manages to get it. By the same token, of course, if Radzik manages to still pull off the win, then he'll only need one more. There it is. That's one flag, one more needed. There we go, pushing the thrust, and Radzik does take it in the end, but Fixer putting up a good fight. We still have at least one more round. So do not go away. Radzik has to finish this fight here and now to avoid the match going 2-2. Alright, switch sides, Radzik. Take the left side. Fixer on the right. Isabella. Alright. Radzik really wants to finish this, I see. That's their best character. trade there of attacks. And another trade, this upcut though hitting the arm nicely, so it does end up being favorable for Radzig. Forza de Dona, but then quickly cancels it. Radzig loves that guard stance actually. Uses the stab a lot, does cut from it as well. Good blade beat, although getting tired now after the exchanges. There we go. Fortunately, Fixer whiffing that attack gets punished right away. Punch, nice hit there by Fixer. Nice, brilliant chop there, right as Radzig was moving laterally. Snap cut attempt, not quite landing as Fixer was prepared. And there we go, the chop once more, as Radzig did something in the middle of that. Probably just started to cut, but that's enough. Perfect, Forza de Dona, and then into the stab. High guard. Nice, dash into the thrust there by Fixer. Radzig not prepared for it, so it works brilliantly here. Very tactical fight this one. Obviously it's not as fast-paced as some of the others, but we're still seeing a reasonable amount of action. There's a lot of thought put into the moves. It's definitely an entertaining fight in its own right. Just not crazy fast like, say, a Saber exchange might be. This is, given the characters they're playing, though, this makes a lot of sense. So they're both playing really well. Really like what I'm seeing from both of them. You can see though they turn up the heat when there's an opportunity, or they sense an opportunity at least. There we go, the guard is battered down as Fixer got tired. Which does happen, if you block a bunch of hits, it does lower your stamina a little bit. So if your stamina was already low, maybe because you took a hit, or you tired yourself out, it's a lot easier to just start battering your guard down. No after party, I'm afraid. I'm going to be done after the USFC for today as far as Hellish Quart. No, and the July rankings, well actually no, today's August actually, so the August rankings will start today, so it doesn't much matter. But regardless, I didn't plan an after party. I'm probably going to play some other games, so maybe some Hunt, Showdown or something. Good exchange there, and we're down to the last flag. It's pretty simple here. Fixer needs to win this flag to stay in the fight. If Radzig takes this one, it's over. And they are both naturally being cautious, but that was a hit by Radzig and possibly had a chance to follow it up for the kill, but I don't blame him for backing up. There's a hit again. Forza de Dona takes a hit as well. Really intense last flag. However, that stamina, yeah, and going for the thrust there. I see why Fixer did it. If Radzig moved just an inch forward, perhaps it would have hit the face, and that actually would have been Fixer's flag. But because it was a little bit too far, the blade beat was pretty straightforward. and Radsley went straight for the kill. But great try to both of them. That was a nice flag to end off on there. I always love those flags where both fighters start taking hits and they seem evenly matched. There's not a double as such, but they're still trading blows and there's just lots of stuff going on. So great job to both fighters. So I'm going to turn game capture off for transparency's sake as we do the coin flip. I know Oak is here, so I'm just going to have him pick at first. And it's pretty simple. We're doing a coin flip. If Oak gets his way, he gets to fight me. And if not, then I'm gonna try and get Next to fight me. Sword. Yeah, most people pick Sword. That is a good choice. There we go. I'm fighting Oak, which is super exciting. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and then we'll get Oak in here, and then we'll fight. So I'll be right back. I'll actually put on the be right back screen so it's clear, since we're not doing fights right now. I will not be that long at all. Alright, I'm back. We're gonna get Oak in here very soon. We're just gonna re-enable the game capture. We're not gonna use Parsec Oak if that's cool with you. It's just people have been reporting strange input issues as well. So it's not just you, it's something to do with Parsec. So we're gonna use Steam. Steam was way better. Yeah, that's good to hear. I want the best possible fight. As usual, I do offer, alternative hosts as needed if people are not able to function well on mine, but I know Oak typically does well on mine, so it's not going to be an issue. But the option's there too, just for people's information. Don't feel you have to fight on my host, absolutely. It's just the default that we go with, just like any other event. But I understand that I'm the champion, so, if the advantage is too great or there's some sort of issue, always open to switching stuff up. All right, Oak is here. I'm going with the left side, by the way, if it'll let me input. Don't know what's going on. Maybe Steam is causing weird stuff. 1 second, Oak. I'm just restarting the game. I'll let you back in. I just don't know why I couldn't select. It was weird. I just want to make sure it's not my controller. There we go. My controller's working now. Game being weird with the inputs today in all sorts of ways, but it is working now. I'll send you another link. You can join, and we'll do the intro. Touch tips as usual, and then we'll get on with the fight. Let's try Yawn this time. Switch it up a little. Okay, on the left you have yours truly, the USFC champion, looking to expand my streak record and hopefully break the all-time USFC record and hang on to my champion title. On the right you have Oak, who is a Saber master himself, master of Yazuk, who always delivers when we fight. It's always like down to the last flag, seemingly regardless of who he picks, so I expect a great fight here as well. Fight clean, fight dirty, and we can begin. I wish I could say I planned that amazing trick shot counter. I was actually going for a corkscrew. But it looked cool. It didn't quite finish the fight though. I think the cork might have. Or the flag, I should say. All right, great fight, Oak. You definitely made it a tough one. At first, it was looking like I was going to run away with it, but then you seemed to have warmed up and you made it quite a fight. There were some crazy moments there, too. Like when you got tired and managed to smite my arm as I came in for the stab, and some of those exchanges were pretty wild, too. But I still hang on to the title. But Oak was a worthy opponent as usual. He's often the one who takes it from me, so I was definitely concerned towards the end of the fight, but in the end, I still won it. Anyways, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer than I need to. Just thank you guys for being awesome, showing good sportsmanship, even with the technical issues we were having, and excellent fights as usual. I'll see you next time for USFC 190.